Good morning and welcome to my channel. My name is Shoshana and I'm a guide to life. I help people through life-changing processes and to better understand what they are going through during the ascension or during a spiritual awakening. And I want to talk a little bit about when you outgrow your life. So during this expansion process, at some point you are going to feel trapped you have expanded, and you're going to feel like you are trapped in a life that is smaller than you, that is no longer in sync with you, that no longer serves your higher purpose. Like and you will start feeling this internal frustration, like something in you just can't do it anymore. It and But that you'll feel like you're stuck in this cycle and that you don't have anywhere to go because you have expanded beyond this. You have this inner calling that is calling you for greater things, for your spiritual expansion, and you may be stuck still in old routines, old places of work, old relationships that are no longer aligned with who you have become and your expanded self. It's like growing out of an old shoe. And but you feel like you're trapped because you don't really know where to go and what to do from here. And I just want to assure you that it is a process. This is part of the process because as we expand, right, we are ever moving, we are ever flowing, we are ever growing. And whatever is in the finite world, whatever is in the 3D world, the noise, and my son's getting ready for school, so I only have a few minutes. So that's the noise. He's in the shower and getting ready. And so as we expand, our outer world remains the same. And we might be stuck in a job and we have responsibilities. We have to, we have to pay the mortgage or the rent. We have to put food on the table. We have children to support. And we don't really know where to go from here, but it almost feels like we just cannot go down this same path anymore. And I'll kind of tell a story about myself as why about 10 years ago or so, maybe 9 years ago, I when I started this process and I went into extreme expansion. In the beginning, it's like when you begin this journey, it's like going through a portal, and it's like whew, you expand. And I had this job that would be considered a good job. I was managing a tourist site, and I was working long hours, but it was it was considered what would be a good job, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And I decided that I'm going to open my own business. I am a graphic designer and I create products as well. It's also part of what I do. I create products and sell on Amazon and do online work, which allows me, which I'm so grateful for that I have this, because it allows me to also do my spiritual processing as well. And I just couldn't get up in the morning and do it anymore. I just felt so confined, and it was out of sync with who I am, and it was just frustrating. And so I decided that I was going to start my own business, but I was afraid to jump straight into that. So I found a job that was only 2.5 days a week in my graphic work. Luckily, I had a friend who I had worked with many years before, because I'm a graphic artist, and she wanted to hire me even if I only had. I told her I could give 2.5 days, and she was willing to even give me that job. And with that paycheck, I was making more than half of what I had been making full time at my other job. And so I quit my other job and I started doing that. And I just couldn't do it. Once I quit that job and made that jump into being my own independent, creating my own independent um, workplace or way of making a means, I just couldn't do it. I remember it was only 2.5 days a week. And I remember that I would start getting frantic days before. It was like, oh no, it was like a dreading would come up into me. I have to go and sit at that job. And I was so uninspired. And I'm good at what I do. I'm good at most things that I do. And she had remembered me on past merits. So I had gotten that job because she so wanted me to come and work there because of my abilities. But when I got there, I was so uninspired. I worked there 3 months. It was 3 months. Every time I had to get up in the morning and go there, it was like I had to drag myself to go there. And I remember, and it was 3 months that really I couldn't produce anything that was inspired. And I could not get inspired to create a beautiful graphic design for a paint company, even though it was a really big, well-known paint company, you know. And paint, you're working with colors. It seems like I would have been able to be completely inspired and come up with some really cool, creative ideas. I just could not do it. And it was beyond me. I couldn't. I was sitting there. I remember just sitting there, just, watching the seconds click away. And I felt, a kind of ashamed because I had gotten accepted to that job through past merits, and I just couldn't produce anything that was even close enough to because it was a well-known graphic studio. You know, what I was producing wasn't up to, even though I'm good at what I do, I just couldn't do it. I was so uninspired. And I worked there for a total of 3 months until I just told her, I'm sorry, I just can't do it. And she could see that I couldn't do it because at the end of the time that I was there, I was put on just doing like fixing pictures up and things like that didn't have any kind of, you just needed technical skill for that, not any kind of imagination and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And ever since then, I did have a short job that I worked when I had to, but I realized that it was just so out of alignment with me that I just could not do it anymore. And you can trust this process because when you start feeling that expansion and that you've expanded on beyond what your physical, because the physical remains the same, and you begin to expand and it stays finite, right? It's not infinite. It doesn't expand with you. So as you expand, there's going to be these pulsations. There's going to be where you expand out of your life and you're still stuck in your life, but you can trust that even that frustration or even that feeling like I'm totally outgrown, I just can't do this anymore, that is what is going to lead you to the next step. So even if you don't know exactly what to do, it will move because it cannot be different. Just a minute. So really all you need to do is follow your inspired, take inspired action. So start moving towards, even if you feel like you're stuck and you still have to do what there's already momentum in it. You can begin to create other avenues and begin to create things that are more aligned with who you are, even if it's sitting down and writing, even if it's just taking a walk in nature. Because from those places, the places when you are in that alignment, that the things that are more aligned with who you have become will begin to take form and will begin to present themselves to you. You can trust that process because you cannot stay forever in that frustration. From that frustration you are going to sprout out. It has to be. But when you feel that inspiredness, or when you feel that you're in your expanded self, when you feel those elate emotions in your high flying self, then is the time to begin to create. Then is the time, if you have this idea, this spark, I want to do this, move on it instantly. Open up, even if you don't have the time right now to start, create your own WhatsApp group with yourself so that you can make notes to yourself. Open up a document and title it. Anything that you can do to create some kind of movement in the direction that you want. And that will lead you to where you need to be. So I'm sending you guys so much love. Thank you for being with me. And if you want to schedule a one-on-one with me so we can kind of look at what you're going through, my contact information is below. Thank you.